Perfect. Ready to go.
All right, give me 1 second here. It's still setting up for YouTube.
Okay.
All right, I think it is good to go here.
Cool.
Perfect. We are live.
We're live already. All right. Hey, I'm Dan, everybody. This is Mike, and we're part of the Mayo Atomic Level Training Team. And if you're unfamiliar with us, Mayo is the only private one-on-one high-intensity strength training you can perform in business clothes once or twice a week and be done in 20 minutes. And you have minimal risk of injury because of the temperature and the climate that we set. Virtually nobody sweats even in their 20-minute workout. And our goal and desire is just to come alongside people well, caring about them individually with thoughtful precision and individual care. We want to build them up so that they might build others up. So that's Mayo in a nutshell. If you want more information, check out myostrong.com, and we'd love to interact with you there. We have in-studio workouts here up in Minneapolis area and surrounding area, and we have virtual workouts as well through our online platform, Myo Pivot. So check those out. If you have more questions, you can see a number of webinars that we've done over the last few weeks related to, most of them related to strength training, but also related to some just inspirational and encouraging things about setting goals, things of that nature. So another educational webinar today that we're doing, and it'll be a fun one today. We got one of our instructor and coaches, Mike, with us, Mike Nelson. I'll let him share more about himself, but it's been a blessing to have Mike on our team and to know him and to interact with him. And he does so well with really instructing and connecting with individual members and clients right where they need to be met. And so it's just going to be a fun time. We want you to be able to know more of who Mike is and some of his personality, some of the things that he loves, give him a chance to share some of his heart and his love for strength training and for people. And so we just hope it'll be a lot of fun for you to kind of get a sneak peek of his life. And so we'll just kind of turn it over from that point. We just got a number of questions, and some of it'll be a little bit impromptu, but wanted to start with maybe just share give us your name, your full name. That's okay with you. We'll start with the middle name too, and then just share a little bit with us about your family, spouse, a little bit about maybe your childhood, okay, where you grew up, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, hi everybody. My name's Michael David Nelson. It's a pretty generic name, I know, but my dad's name is David. So I have two older brothers, also with their middle names are David. So it's a little confusing, and their first names are Matthew and Mark. So imagine Matthew, Mark, Michael, all boys, all right in a row, same middle name as David. So it got a little confusing growing up. And I also have a younger sister named Sarah. Her middle name is Marie, so a little different, but they thought about naming her Marie as her first name, but then they're like, oh no, that's too confusing. Everyone's starting with M, so let's name her Sarah and have a middle name Marie. But I don't know if three boys with the same first letter is confusing enough. My mom, Kim, and my dad, Dave or David. My mom's a math teacher, and my dad is a civil engineer. So I guess kind of going off of that, my mom homeschooled all four of us kids through junior year of high school. And after that, we did some PSEO classes at Normandale for some free college, you might as well, before going to, I went to Bethel University, and that's where I met my wife, Olivia. She's incredible. She is a couple years younger than me. We met my senior year and her junior year, randomly in the hallway one day, actually. We had a mutual friend sitting with her, and the mutual friend called me over and was asking me some random question. I have no idea what we talked about. But at the end, Olivia stood up and said, hey, my name's Olivia. What's your name? I was like, oh, my name's Mike. Nice to meet you. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, sweet. Good to meet you. Left, didn't really say anything else. yeah, I kept seeing her everywhere, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this girl's pretty cool. We had a few small talks and found out she likes similar things that I do, likes being outdoors, likes doing some athletic things like volleyball, soccer, whatever. So I decided to ask her out on a date, and we walked around downtown Excelsior, got some ice cream. If you've ever been to Excelsior, they've got the best ice cream there. Yeah, and that's the rest is history, I guess. Um, yeah, let's see what else.
Yeah. So where'd you grow up, Mike? Was it close,
Oh,
Minneapolis?
I grew up in Hopkins, which is about 10 minutes from the studio here in Minnetonka. Um, yeah, I grew up in the same house that my parents are still living in today.
Hmm.
So they've been in that house for like 28 years, I believe, 27 years. Um, but yeah, I grew up with a nice big yard where all four of us can kind of play around, and um, so it was a fun upbringing for sure. Um, and then let's see, Olivia grew up in Plymouth, so we actually grew up 10-15 minutes away from each other, and
Hmm.
yeah.
Cool. And you guys currently live, where do you currently live
I
together?
currently live like a minute from the studio in Minnetonka. We live in a little, I don't think it's a town necessarily, it's a little area called Glen Lake.
Hmm.
If any of you know where the Gold Nugget restaurant is, we actually live in the apartments right above that. So we thought moving into there, we'd smell it a whole lot, and it's good food, but we actually don't smell it, which is kind of nice because then it's not as tempting to walk downstairs and grab some food.
Totally.
So,
Otherwise you'd be like regular once a week
oh
type
yeah,
people, once a day
for sure.
type.
Their cheese curds are incredible. Oh, it's basically like you're eating at the state fair again.
That's great. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
little advertisement for the Golden Nugget too, right there.
yeah, it's a great place. My wife and I actually just went there. Now that restaurants have been able to open up their outdoor seating, we went there yesterday. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Do you guys get a little discount since you live in the same building, or not happening?
You know, I probably should have asked, but I never asked them. I wonder if they would. Maybe I'll ask next
Yeah,
time I'm in to
yeah,
see if we get a little discount.
yeah. Yeah,
So
cool. And so you mentioned a little bit, Mike, about going to school at Bethel, and just maybe share a little bit about some of your experience there, the area of study that you pursued.
yeah,
Love to hear a bit about that.
okay. Yeah, like I said before, I went to Bethel University in Roseville. I knew I wanted to stay somewhere close by home, and all three of my siblings also went to Bethel, so it was kind of a family school. So I was like, hey, why not? Let's do it. So that was the only school I applied to because I knew I wanted to go there, and I felt like God was kind of calling me there. So I went there and made a lot of great friends. Going to a private school I think, has a big advantage to state schools because the classes are so much smaller. So you actually get to know your professors really well, and they actually get to know you too. And you're not just a name on a piece of paper to them. They're actually a person, and yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, I didn't go to a state school, so I don't know exactly what that's like, but I've heard from friends that it's completely different. And but yeah, so when I first started there, I wanted to do athletic training. But then I quickly found out that I didn't want to treat injuries after they happened. I wanted to basically figure out what are the common injuries and how they occur and how to stop them and how to prevent injuries. So that's kind of pushed me in the direction. I actually majored in biokinetics, which is basically a fancy way of saying exercise science. My school actually changed the name strictly because it sounded more professional. And that's it. They didn't change any of the classes or anything. They just changed the name and said it sounded more professional. So we'll go with that. But yeah, actually a lot of things have changed in that major since I graduated. But so yeah, I graduated with a degree in biokinetics with an emphasis on exercise science and community health. Let's see. So I just had a passion for movement and the human body and how it works and sports, and I wanted something that could tie all of those things together. And so, like I said, I tried athletic training and didn't really like that as much. So then I went to biokinetics, and more of a rehabilitation or preventative care aspect of it. I first, actually, sorry, I didn't mention this. After athletic training, I was maybe going to go pre-physical therapy. But then after praying and thinking about it a lot, I realized that that wasn't something that I really wanted to do either, because it still stemmed with the rehab side of things. And I wanted to do almost, I don't even know if this is a word, but prehab. Basically preventing, so you don't have to do rehab. Making sure that you're strong enough and your joints are strong enough, your muscles are strong enough, so that you don't have a lot of those common injuries that people do have. So yeah, I made a lot of good friends along the way. I was a part of our biokinetics club. Sounds kind of nerdy, but we actually did a lot of cool volunteer stuff with Twin Cities Orthopedic and a few other big name companies. But yeah, and that's, I mean, it's a different journey from when I graduated to get to this place. I can share a little bit about that and how I came to be a part of the Myo team. So after I graduated, I actually worked for a place called ETS Elite. It is a kind of a sports performance place or a center or a gym, whatever you want to call it. I actually worked at the one where Adam Thielen of the Vikings, he co-owns it and he also trains there. So that was really cool to see him and a few other pro athletes train early in the morning. And it was really cool to see and be a part of that somehow. And I got to train a lot of junior high and high school athletes and a few college students too. So I did that for about 6 or 7 months. And yeah, and there's some complications with that I won't go into, but I decided to stop working there. And my brother actually is a project manager for a painting company. And at the time, I just really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, as cliche as that sounds. So I asked him, like, hey, do you guys have any need for any more painters? And he was like, yeah, we'll give you an interview and see if this is something you want to do. So the boss interviewed me, and it's a great company. It's called Paris Painting. They do a really good job if you need some painting done. But so I worked there for 2 years, I think. And I worked there on and off in the summers between my years of Bethel. So I worked there for a couple of years, and I just wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, if I wanted to open up my own gym of some sort or work for somebody else, or I wasn't quite sure. So I just continued to pray and just asking God to open a door for me somewhere, wherever he wanted me to go. And it was last July or June. I think it was late June. Kevin Ness, the owner of Myo, his cousin was getting married late June, and my now wife was one of her bridesmaids. So we went to the wedding, and it was kind of cool how it happened, because at first, like, I really didn't want to go to the wedding because I didn't know anyone except for my wife and then the bride, and that's about it. I maybe knew like one other person, and we had to go to the rehearsal dinner too, and that was basically just family, and I didn't know anyone there. And so I was just being a stinker about it and telling Olivia, I don't really want to go to this. But she was like, oh, come on, you need to go. So I was like, okay, I'll do this for you. And so I went to the rehearsal dinner, and I actually met Kevin's sister. I believe it was Kevin's sister. And we were just having small talk, and she was asking me where I went to school, what I graduated with. And I told her, and she's like, oh, my brother actually, and my other brother and my dad started this strength training facility. And now they have 3 locations. And I was like, oh, cool. So she was telling me a little bit more about it. I was like, wow, I've never heard of a 20-minute workout where you don't sweat, and you only have to go in twice a week. So I was like, oh, I gotta see what this is about. So she was like, "Oh yeah, I can introduce you to my brother at the wedding tomorrow." And I was like, "Sure, let's do it." So the next day at the wedding, I was like, I didn't see his sister for a while. It's like, well, oh well, it doesn't really matter. I don't need to meet him if that's
Mm.
how it works. But later in the night when the dance was happening, she ran up to me and found me and was like, "Oh, here, I gotta introduce you to my brother Kevin." It's like, okay, sweet. So she introduced us and then she walked away. So it's just me and Kevin standing there, like, okay, sweet.
What's up?
Um, yeah. So he just told me a little bit about how Myo got started. And back then it was My Strength Studio, and kind of how it got started and what it is now, and how it works and everything about it. And I asked a couple questions and he was like, "Hey, I'd love for you to come in and give it a shot and see what you think of the workout." And I was like, "Sure." So the next week, I remember texting Kevin and asking like, "Hey, I'm free these days. Can I come in for a workout and see how it goes?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, come on in." Um, so yeah, I did the workout in jeans and a sweatshirt. I didn't sweat. I was actually a little chilly almost because you have fans going on you and it's about 64 degrees in there. So yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, and I wasn't even sore the next day, which every time that I've trained, I feel sore. So this was a new concept for me, and I mean, it
Mm.
was nice. It didn't get
Mhm.
sore, and you're in and out in 20 minutes. So, but yeah, it's kind of history from there. He kind of asked like, "Hey, what are you doing for work right now?" And I was like, "Well, I'm kind of looking for something," and I was still painting at the time, but I can kind of stop that whenever I needed to. And he's like, "Well, we're actually looking for someone to be an instructor," and asked me if I would come in for an interview. So I did. And that's when I met Dan at the interview, and he just started there too, as the manager. And yeah, the rest is history. I've been working here since October 14th, I believe it was. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a great place to work and a great place to train for sure. So that's kind of the story on how I ended up here at Mile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been, if I can just speak to it, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but it's been really fun to see you grow in the role and like the way that you interact with the clients and members is really encouraging to me. Just you're like, we talk about thoughtful precision and individual care at the same time. It's
Right.
like when something comes up to me or I hear a situation or I get to hear you interacting with them, it's really encouraging because I hear all those types of words, around like people's injuries, or people's inabilities or people's soreness. And you're just like, you just meet them right where they're at, I think really well. And you just do a great job of kind of leading them in. And also you instruct me in most of my workouts. So you're a killer in that too. And like, it's super fun to see how you pick up on different mannerisms, even in my body, but I know you do in the others as well.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, when are we getting close to that point of momentary muscle failure and how can we eke out that last little bit? So I've just seen you improve drastically over the months being here, which is really a blessing. So you add a ton of value to not only our studio, but Mayo in general. So I just appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, here's a little, this could get a little risky, but we'll see. This is a impromptu thing I'm throwing at Mike. So have you
Okay.
ever played a word association game? So I say a word and
Yeah.
you say the first word that comes to your mind. Okay.
All
So
right.
you're
I'm ready.
not playing anything, you just say the word. Okay. So we'll start with a couple easy ones. All right. Green.
Leaf.
All right. Snow.
Cold.
Okay. Dog.
Fun.
All right. Olivia.
Beautiful.
Okay, nice. Okay. Bicep.
Muscle.
Okay. How about leg press?
Terrible.
I was wondering what your action was going to be to that.
Oh man, leg press is brutal.
All right. Summer.
Excitement.
Date.
Also excitement, I guess.
Okay. All right.
A lot of fun.
A walk.
Calming.
Okay. Family.
Oh gosh. I'm trying to use other words that I haven't used already. Just fun. My
That's all
family,
right.
they're a lot of fun.
Good. I was realizing as I said that, when I'm like, he's gonna totally respond the way that he grew up, and it sounds like it was a lot of fun growing up. So nice work.
Yeah,
A couple kind of questions in line with similar things like that. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food. Oh boy. My wife is always getting on me for liking certain foods. Kind of a weird one, but favorite food is ketchup.
Interesting.
So I will eat ketchup on just about anything. So
Okay.
growing up, if I didn't like a certain vegetable that my mom made or I didn't like potatoes growing up. I love French fries, so but I would always put ketchup on anything that I didn't like. I think I put ketchup on a fruit one time too that I didn't like, just because it's so strong and it masks everything that you don't like. So I would constantly be putting it on, and I still do today. And my wife actually cannot stand the smell of ketchup. So sometimes if I'm eating like a hot dog with ketchup, I'll have to eat it as quick as I can and get the plate in the dishwasher before she can smell it. But other than ketchup, it's pizza. I love pizza. It's incredible.
All right. You put ketchup on pizza?
I've tried actually once and it actually didn't taste good. So I won't do that again.
Two good things sometimes don't go together, right?
Right. Exactly.
All right. What about dessert? What's a favorite dessert you have?
Oh, this one's easy. I love apple crisp. My mom makes the best apple crisp. I'm sure every person says that, but oh, it is so good. I could eat a whole pan. So that's instead of a cake for my birthday growing up, I always wanted apple crisp instead.
Apple crisp. Nice.
Either that or a big sheet cake where I can have a lot of extras.
Totally.
Yeah. So apple crisp for sure, especially if you get some nice tart apples, like Granny Smith or Harrelson. It's incredible. It's super good.
Yeah. Does Olivia make apple crisp yet?
Actually, I think I'm the only one that made it. Yeah, I don't think she's made it yet, but I just used my mom's recipe, and it's kind of hard to mess up, I guess. So it's pretty easy to make.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So one question. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why would you go there?
I would either go to Australia or New Zealand. Either that or Africa. So one of those three places. I've been to Europe. We kind of traveled around Europe as a family a couple years ago. I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon, and that was incredible too. Yeah, I would say New Zealand or Australia because it's just far away. It's fun to travel. I love traveling. New Zealand, it's got beaches, it's got mountains. I think it has a volcano somewhere on there. And Australia kind of has the same thing. And they have a lot of different wildlife than we do here too, which I love wildlife. I love going to zoos. Any new place that we go, I tell Olivia we have to go to a zoo. Let's see, where else did I say? Africa. My wife went to Kenya for a semester abroad when she was at Bethel. And she said it was the best experience of her life. So she said sometimes she'll take me back there and just visit the place and just different culture, different animals, just different way of life. And I've always kind of go there since she's kind of told me about it. I've seen all the pictures and all the videos they took, and it seems like a great place.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome. Do okay, kind of two more to end with maybe. What's something you love about strength training in general? Obviously, focusing on some level within school and experientially up to that point, working at a couple different places, landing here at Mayo, kind of strength training, circulating around all of those different things in various capacities. What's something you love about strength training in general?
It sounds a little cliche as well, but I just love feeling stronger. I know there are times where I don't feel strong, and that's I can attribute that to not strength training for a while. in college, I really started to strength train with a plan. I think it was sophomore year. So freshman year, I didn't really need to a whole lot because my body's metabolism was still pretty high. But after that, I could kind of tell like, okay, I'm actually losing some muscle mass here, and things that I could do for a really long time, like play basketball for like 3 hours on end without getting sore. Like now I could probably do it for like maybe an hour, then I'd start to really feel it and getting sore.
Yeah.
So I just love the feeling of being able to do a lot of different things, like going a 5 mile hike or something, that I know a lot of people can't do just because their joints are bad or they don't have enough muscle to make it up and down, or cardiovascular health as well.
Yeah.
So I just love the feeling of getting stronger. Yeah, this is weird because I don't think anyone likes this, but I do enjoy the burn a little bit.
Yeah.
Except for the leg press, I still can't get over that one. But any like upper body exercise that we do here in the studio or even outside of the studio, I do enjoy the burn. I really like pushing myself to be the best that I can and to push as hard as I can, as long as I can. So it kind of works well with the studio and how we try to take you to failure on every exercise so that you don't have to strength train every day. So it's kind of a fun game for me to try to push myself as hard as I physically can.
Totally.
So
cool. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of kind of into your life a little bit more question, but what's something that's happened in your life that's shaped the way that you view and live your life?
Honestly, it's not really an event, but it's I guess it's being homeschooled growing up. It was different. But I was in a lot of sports growing up and went to youth group every week. So I definitely saw a lot of friends, because some people think, oh, you don't get socialization, you don't get outside, you don't do this, do that. But I probably got out more than the average kid. I was very social growing up, and I loved being with people. And but I think just being home with my parents a lot, and just them sharing their values with me and their faith, and I guess just the whole experience. Sometimes I look back and like, oh, I wonder how I would be now today if I went to a public school or a private school. I don't know what I would be like if I'd be the same person, or but yeah, I had a lot of good friends growing up who pushed me to be better and do better, and it really shows later in life. And looking back now, I wouldn't want it to be any other way. And I learned a lot from my parents, and my mom specifically. She homeschooled all of us, and she's incredibly smart, probably the smartest woman I know. But yeah, and my dad too. He'd always help us with homework after he got back from work, and they both spent a lot of their time with us, and it really showed how much they loved us and cared for us. And I think just that whole experience made me into the man I am today, and I don't regret any of it. And
yeah, cool. Well, I guess one last one here. You can share in like pretty brief if you want, but what's something that you love about working with the clients and members here at Myo? What's one thing that you love?
Oh, I just love building relationships. Like, sometimes it's really hard for me to get done in 20 minutes because I want to talk to them. I want to know how their day was, how their weekend was, what'd you do at the cabin, or like, I love interacting with the clients and just building relationships. Training them is fun too.
Totally.
Yeah. So I like it. What was that?
I was just going to say, you ask them a question because you want to know, you want to engage them, but then you're like, oh yeah, you need to breathe and focus. Right. Wait, just think about it. Yeah. I know.
So as soon as we get done with an exercise, I'm quickly asking them a couple of questions just to see how they're doing and everything, and then go right back to working out. And so it's just a lot of fun building relationships. And there's so many very unique and awesome people that come into the Minnetonka studio. I'm sure at the other locations too. But it's fun to get to know everyone individually. And a lot of places, like they won't know your name when you come in. Like a big box place. I was a part of a big box place like the last couple of years before I started working here. And not once did they know my name, or sometimes they didn't even look at me and say hi. They just kind of looked down at the computer and let me walk by. And but the value of relationships is huge. I mean, you're more likely to come to a place that they actually know your name and care about you. And yeah, so I just love building relationships.
And if I can speak to this too, like if I say someone's name, Mike knows them so well, he could probably pick out a few things on their chart, but then individually, like, okay, how hard can I push this person before their breaking point, kind of, or when they want to give up. And that's a huge deal. And so for you to know like 85 people pretty well in that capacity is pretty incredible. And is a testament to your relationships and capacity to have them and to keep investing in them, which is so unique and cool, and it just fits super well with what we're trying to do. So love that. But that's all we got today. So appreciate the interview, Mike, and just sharing more of that. Absolutely. And so keep staying tuned to some of these educational webinars. You can look at some of our past ones as well on YouTube, and just kind of tap into things that are interesting to you. Feel free also to email us if there's a topic you're interested in hearing more about. We can spend some time on that. We usually try to do an educational webinar once a week. So again, if you have questions, visit milestrong.com. And also remember that we build people up so that we build you up so that you might build others up in the life and sphere of people around you. So that's it for today. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Yep. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
All right.
See ya. Bye.